Hi everybody, it's Anthony Burton here for ABLG Design. We've recently been busy with a range of projects and have just finished putting together a collection of Photoshop brushes that we really want to share with you. Now with these brushes, what we've tried to do is provide the look and feel of a traditional medium inside a digital platform. And our goal with these brushes has been to establish the kind of texture such as pencil, pastel and paint when you apply these effects to your illustration work. So for today I thought I would sit down inside Photoshop and run through each individual brush and show you what kind of result you can get when using these. So inside Photoshop we'll go up to the upper left of the program and here is the brushes panel. Now what first thing you'll see is all 16 brushes that you get within this set. Now for those of you that are using more recent versions of Photoshop like we are, in Adobe Photoshop CC 2019, when you upload these brushes into the program, they will show up in a folder which is called ABLG Custom Brushes. Now let's jump into the first one, which is ABLG Carbon Pencil, and I'll just go through each one quickly and show you what you can do. So this first one is the Carbon Pencil, and as you can see straight away there's this texture coming through, this grit leaded texture, and all brushes are pressure sensitivity, so depending on how hard you press on the tablet using your stylus, you'll get either a thick line, or if you touch it lightly you get a more lighter line. And there's that erosion in there as well that you get when using pencils. So let's go to the next one, which is Pure Graphite, and this is my go-to brush for doing rough sketching because I just love the control that you have with it, and it's very fine but still you've got that fine grain in it and that little bit of erosion as you get when you're running the lead across the paper or canvas. Next one. So with this one, the charcoal, again what we've tried to establish is if you've got like a chunk of charcoal, a rectangle of it, and you're just rubbing it against the paper and it leaves that vertical line but break in the stroke as you apply it to the surface. And one good thing about this brush is the grungy organic feel that you get with it. Could almost be used as a brush for mountains, filling in mountains. If you're like me and you struggle to establish that texture sometimes of stone, then this brush might be the ideal one for you, doing rocks and things, or maybe even it'd be good for bark on a tree or something. So some interesting ideas for you to pursue. So the next two of the pencil brushes come with colour already built in. So this first one is the sepia light, and with the sepia light it's that brown, well, sepia colour pencil, and what we've done here is we've tried to match the colour but also that lead texture where you can see it breaking up in places when you apply it to the surfaces if you're using on paper, a sketchbook or whatever you're using at the time. And again this is the same for the next brush, which is the sanguine oil, and we've tried to establish the ochre sanguine colour, but this one's a little bit more finer than the sepia and not so many harsh breaks in the lead, but still you've got that jutter as if you're hitting the grooves of of thick paper, which is pretty cool. So now we go on to the final brush of the pencils, which is the coloured pencil. And just change colour to a nice red. And as you can see again, you've got that dilapidated break feel of where the lead stutters a bit, and that rough edge at the side. So no matter what way you're holding the stylus, flat or to the side, you're still getting that varied feel with the brush. So now the next one is the fibre tip pen, which is also, I would refer it to as a felt tip pen. This one's a very fine liner, which is what most felt tips are. A lot of them are water based, so again with the pressure sensitivity you really get that variation of that softness to it, but then when you go over a line that you've already done, you get that build up come through. And what we've tried to get here is that smoothness as well, that smooth round edge when you're doing illustrations. And if you want to use a sort of a soft wet feel, maybe this is the brush for you as a good filler. Next brush. So now we go into the two pastel brushes. So the first one is the soft pastel, and again just a soft, nice soft brush, but you get a nice, at the edge, that textured feel of the break of the pastel when you're rubbing it onto the canvas and paper. And again, rubbing over the top, you can decide on how thick you want the colour to be, but still, if you look closely, you can establish that pastel effect on top as well, which is a fantastic filler brush, and one that I actually use myself in my own main illustrations when we're doing projects for ABLG design. So if you want a decent fill brush for your illustrations, I recommend using that one. So the next one is the oil pastel, but different to the soft. This one is more thicker, and it's got a little bit of a colour variation in this one, as you can see. But what we've tried to replicate with this brush is that thick, wet build up when you apply it on the page, and that chunk of oil that it leaves behind, but also breaks as well, which is why there's the holes and the breaking of the strokes, and really give you that thick feel when you're applying it. Let's go to the next brush. So here we've got, we go into the paint brushes now. So the first one is the oil paint, and again, like the oil pastel, we want to give that thickness. But with this brush, one thing I really wanted to get is that feel of the brush strokes, the bristles of the brush. So when you apply it, not only are you getting the paint, but you're getting that faded line that is left by dry bristles from where the paint has left the brush and now on the paper. And again, if you just go over the top, you still retain the brush bristles, but you can fill it in as well, and very good, almost like a Bob Ross video. I know maybe you want a wrong colour, but paint some happy little trees or something fun. Not a very good tree, but something fun like that. So now we come to the watercolour brushes, and you get two within this pack. So let's go to the first one. The first one is just a simple base colour, and this one very nice and soft. And if you look at the edges, there's this, what we've tried to do is develop a bleed effect, as if when you're applying this wet media to the page, the watered paint just bleeds into the grooves and just really provides that organic randomness that you get with using watercolour. Maybe we change the colour a little bit. Again, that nice subtlety to it. Could almost make clouds with it, the softness of it. So for the second watercolour brush, this one's a mixer brush, and what this does is different to the other one. The other one is just a plain colour, but with this one, for those of you that find it difficult to find the right light or dark colour value of that base colour you initially put down, this might be the brush for you, because as you can see, when you apply it, there's a colour dynamic setting to this brush where it uses the base colour that you've got, but at the same time it changes the hue and contrast and brightness to give you the different colour values all in one brush stroke. And depending on how hard you push on your graphics tablet with the stylus, you can have it faded where it's more desaturated, or if you push harder you get that more saturated feel. It's sort of like more like, as I said, a cloud really. This one perfect, like a storm, a fantasy storm cloud, almost mystical, where you could use it for water, maybe do like a ripple effect or something if you're painting water. But I still think a good cloud brush where you've got this thunderstorm coming and the lightning's booming and flashing in the sky. So that's a good idea for that brush. So the next brush is the acrylic brush. A bit like the oil paint, we've tried to establish a little bit of the brush strokes, but with acrylic you don't tend to run out the paint too much. It's a very thick plastic kind of effect, acrylic, and that's what we wanted here. We wanted that thickness to the brush, so you've got a little bit of pressure sensitivity to it, but not too much, so you're really already getting that easy build up of colour and just that smoothness that you get with acrylic. It's a very shiny and solid kind of medium. So the next two brushes, again like the watercolour brushes, we move on to the sponge brush. It comes in two variations, so we'll go with the first of the sponge brushes. And all I'm doing here at the moment is just lightly tapping my stylus to my graphics tablet and showing you the sort of effect that you would if you were actually using a sponge on paper. You would most probably dab it on, stamp it, and as you notice with this brush we've got a directional value to it, so it changes the direction randomly, so then you're not just having a continuity of the same thing, you're not repeating it, and you've got that nice sort of fade out edge, as if, you know, parts of the sponge hasn't got much paint on, and it shows off the holes and the grooves of the sponge, the roughness of it. Now you don't have to just tap, I mean you can just do a normal brush stroke and still you get that effect, that edge effect of of the sponge really, and that fade out, which is why I really love this brush. Very good, I would say, for maybe foliage, if you're doing bushes, or you want to fill out trees, or even sand. So, like watercolour, the sponge brush comes with a sponge mixer, exactly the same as the watercolour. Base colour I've got is the same as just before the yellow, but when I'm applying it, you do get some colour variations of light and darks coming through, almost creating, I would say, like autumn colours, maybe an abstract pile of leaves that have fallen on the ground, and you get that nice golden feel that the autumn, or if you're American, the fall has just come, and all of these beautiful yellows and browns and ochres come out. Maybe we could just go over the top and pick out another. And again, that's the thing, you can just apply different colours over the top, or apply different brushes over the top. Really experiment, and that is the key. That is the key thing I can tell you, experimentation. If it doesn't work out for you, just paint over it. It's as simple as that. So now what I'm going to do is go into the final brush, and this one, very interesting, very fine brush, is the black ink, and this one's a bit like the pure graphite, but a bit more, less dilapidated in places. It's a very nice fine line, but it's got a very nice subtle texture to it. That paper texture coming through, that fine grain. Almost like Asian calligraphy. When they paint on parchment paper, they use ink. Let's go for just a darker colour. When they used to make mountains, I think Hokusai is the best name that comes to mind, when he used to create the Great Wave, and his illustration work of Mount Fuji, and just that beautiful subtlety to it. Ideal for if you're a manga artist, or even a cartoon artist. You know, what we normally do with our illustrations, we start off with the pure graphite brush as there's just that rough composition brush, get everything down on the canvas, and then once we're happy with what we've got, we'll probably use this brush to go over the top and really refine, because it gives you that nice clean edge feel. And that's what I like about this brush, and that was one thing I really wanted to bring out for you guys with this. So again, I've just done a mountain range, very basic, but as I said, it's just a nice clean brush. And if I zoom in and just show you that, just that nice bit of texture in there that you can get. So there we have it. That is all of the brushes, all the 16 brushes that you get within this set. They are available in a link in the description below. And yeah, just finally, if you use these brushes, experiment with them. There is literally so much you can do with these brushes. Use them, experiment with them, make beautiful pieces of art with them, and be able to create a traditional looking piece of art inside a digital program like Photoshop. With more time and care, you can create wonderful pieces of art. I mean, I have one here that we used. This took a good few hours to make, but with this one I used only a few selections of brushes, the pure graphite and the soft pastel. But this is the sort of thing you can create with this, and just let your mind be free. Experiment with them. There is no right or wrong. Just let your mind be free and see what you come up with. So with that said, thank you very much for watching. I hope you really enjoyed what you saw here today. If you did like what you saw, then please hit that red subscribe button in the link below the video, and also go out and mention it to your friends and family and anyone else that you know. The more people that know, the better, and we can then start producing more content for you guys. We can understand what you want. We have got some more videos planned in the future, but if you have any suggestions, if there is something that you want to see, whether it be a tutorial, speed art, or some more brush demonstrations, then please let us know, because your thoughts and opinions really do matter. So again, I will say a massive thank you for watching, and until next time, bye.